Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you're listening to me from. My name is Professor Greg Obiamalu of the Department of Linguistics, Nnamdi Azikiwe University, Awka, Nigeria. Let me use this opportunity to thank the organizers of this conference, especially Dr. Emma Sonye and his team on the S-Daily group for this wonderful initiative, organizing this conference to mark the 10th anniversary of S-Daily. May I also thank all the conferees, the keynote speakers, and other conferees for finding time to be part of this conference. Well, I was assigned a topic, sign language in Africa, challenges and way forward. I must say that I'm not a sign language researcher, and part of the problem which we're going to see is the lack of interest by linguists on sign language. And so I am not a researcher, but Emma Sonia has actually opened my eye to the possibilities and the kind of research one can do in the area of sign language. So Emma, thank you so much for drawing my attention. We're going to see in the course of this presentation that part of the problem with sign language in Africa is that linguists don't show interest, and so we have issues. And so let's see what I just have a very short presentation to make. Like I said, I am not an expert, but at least I've been able to go through some literature on the subject matter, and I have been able to come up with some issues regarding the challenges that sign language face and the way forward. By way of introduction, sign languages are an integral part of communication for deaf communities worldwide, including Africa. However, despite their importance, sign languages in Africa face numerous challenges, ranging from limited recognition and resources to sociocultural stigmatization. Addressing these challenges requires a concerted effort from government, educational institutions, and the society at large. But before we move on, I would like to address some issues, especially related to the background, the history of sign language. Indigenous sign languages have been in Africa for some time. We cannot say precisely when it started, but Edwards 2020 reported the existence of Ademorobe in Ghana, and that sign language has been there, according to her, since 1733. And so sign languages are in pockets in different African communities, but they've not been documented. And so when we talk about sign language in Africa, we probably refers to the foreign sign languages that came in, but that is not the case because sign languages have been in existence. The case of Ademorobe is a good example. Asonia and Edwards reported also of Magajin Gari in Kaduna North as a community where sign language has been developed or has been in existence. There may be others, many others that are not known, but sign language is not new to Africa. You can see that there is a prevalence of foreign sign languages like American Sign Language coming with the introduction of sign language by the colonial and education efforts. notable is Andrew Foster, who introduced American Sign Language to Ghana and Nigeria and probably other African countries. And so this has led to the prevalence of these foreign sign languages have led to, let's say, underdevelopment of the indigenous African sign languages. And so this is a call to action for us to look inward and see what we have and document them. So we can let's look at the next thing, which is about the challenges. Now, if you can see that there is what we call dominance of American Sign Language and other foreign sign language like the British Sign Language in the educational system for the deaf and dumb. And so for that reason, the indigenous sign languages are not recognized. Even the government does not give any recognition whatsoever. And so nobody cares about developing these sign languages. And so they are getting endangered. That is the implication. Endangerment is the outcome, the implication of this lack of interest in documenting the sign languages. 95% of deaf children are born to hearing parents. And so you can see that actually affects their language development because they don't acquire language early enough. Since they are deaf, they can hear their parents, and so it affects their social and cognitive development. And so that's part of the challenges. You can see that there are few African linguists actually engage in sign language research. Like myself, I said this is the first time I'm getting involved in sign language, and it's good that we are saying this because many of us don't show interest in sign language, and so it's an opportunity for us to begin to look at the African sign languages. So for that reason, we don't have sufficient documentation of local sign languages, and so it makes these sign languages vulnerable and highly endangered, and we're almost gotten lost. We don't have sign language courses in our education institutions. For instance, the Department of Linguistics where I teach, sign language course is not even part of the curriculum. Nobody talks about it. It's not a course, and there is no attempt to even include anything that has to do with sign language. And so it's a problem. And then you look at the curriculum for primary, secondary schools, nothing like that. So that's a big problem. It is only like the deaf community is more like kept away from other groups, the majority. So they are highly marginalized. And so it's a problem. Now, even within the deaf community, even within the educational system for the deaf, you can see that they rely more on the foreign materials based on American Sign Language or British Sign Language. And so nobody talks about the social signs, what we call the home signs that we use. And so that's one of the major challenges. Then one of the biggest challenge faced by, like I've been saying, is the attitude, the societal attitude. Definitely, within the educational system, the local signs are seen as inferior. They are local gestures. So for you to belong, you need to learn the American sign or the British sign, and so that's a major challenge. Now, the other challenge is the stigmatization that is normally associated with deaf and dumb people. There is so much superstition, just like we look at a mad person or a mentally unstable person as having some spiritual problem. I think that's the way many people view a deaf and dumb. So they are stigmatized, and it doesn't create room for the needed attention and empathy that should be given to the deaf and dumb in our society. So I think societal attitude is part of the challenge that deaf people and their language faces. Now let's look at the impact of these challenges. Of course, there are consequences, and one of the consequences is the endangerment of these indigenous sign languages. Because of the dominance of these foreign sign languages, our indigenous sign languages are endangered, and so it's a big problem. And secondly, because of the poor state of education for the deaf, you can see that it also affects their education, general education, and then employability. So it's a big challenge. And then not having a sign language, a native sign language, is also something that when it comes to cultural identity and representation, you see that we are lacking there, because we cannot say this is our own. We are still relying on the foreign sign languages. So that's one major challenge, and the impact of these the impact of these challenges. So what is the way forward? I think first thing is everybody should be, all hands should be on deck to promote our indigenous sign languages. We should try to get more people, encourage government to recognize indigenous sign languages and give them the same attention that spoken languages are given. As linguists, we can help by getting into the research and publishing dictionaries and other materials in these local sign languages. There is need to engage local linguists and researchers. We need to train more African linguists in sign language studies, and then encourage indigenous research to document these languages. Very important. We will need to incorporate sign language courses in our universities and colleges. Like I said earlier, I'm not sure there is any university or linguistics program in any university or college of education where sign language is part of the curriculum at the university level. Yes, we have special education programs, but that is not enough. There is need to train more people. So we need to incorporate sign language courses in our universities and colleges of education, especially in the linguistics program. And by so doing, we develop training programs for educators on indigenous sign languages. We can also involve the community, and by the community and by empowering the deaf individuals and the communities to take an active role in language development. This can be done by organizing workshops, sensitization programs, and other enlightenment programs to catch the attention of people on the need to study and develop the sign languages. There is need for more NGOs to get involved in sign language development. I must acknowledge the role that S-Daily, led by Emerson and his other partners, the role they've been playing in developing and creating awareness about sign languages in Africa. And so they are doing well. I think these are the issues that we need to address to make this sign language studies quite make it interesting and acceptable to the communities and the people. Yeah, like I told you from the beginning, my paper is quite short. I cannot claim to be an expert in this field, but I've been able to look into the available materials, and I could see that there is much work to be done on sign language in Africa. And so, by way of conclusion, these are the major points which I have raised in this paper. There is need to preserve the indigenous sign languages for the sake of maintaining our cultural identity. And there is need to have a collective effort from communities, linguists, and policymakers in making sure that sign languages are documented and developed. And then emphasizing the value of indigenous languages will foster inclusivity I mean to say, and then accessibility. Thank you for listening.